All right. So I just want to say thank you again for letting me do this today. Usually I would have my co-host Tia with me, but she's MIA, like I said.
Okay.
But we came up with a couple questions for you on not just like your book, because we both read the book.
It's good. I normally don't like doing interviews if the interviewer has not read the book.
I actually own 2 copies of it.
Okay, cool.
I actually, when I was still at Bay Path, I loaned a copy of it to our president, and she could not put it down.
You know, that is something that I hear often, and it warms my heart because every time I hear people that have read it or start to read it and they say they couldn't put it down, it makes me feel that it just certifies to me that we did the right thing.
You
Because
guys definitely did the right thing by writing that book.
that was always a big thing to me, even to this day. I sometimes I it's like I'm expecting to hear some form of negative feedback, which I've gotten some. I got it online. Some people feel that I've I've divulged secrets. And I'm like, no, it's not about secrets. It's about what I witnessed and what Mr. Jackson is no longer here to even speak on himself. So sometimes I feel like it was important to just bring that to the forefront.
That's me. That's a great perspective. So our first question is, what inspired you to write the book?
I was while sitting at the memorial, um, when we went to the memorial, for Mr. Jackson, and just sitting there and I was there to pay my respects to to someone I considered a friend, my boss, my employer, and I was really, and I also wanted to be able to hopefully, which I didn't get a chance to. I wanted to see the kids and let them know how sorry I was, um, because I understood their relationship with their father. And as I sat there and I'm looking around at all the people that was there, I mean, listen, anybody that was there from the celebrity base, they can say they were there to pay their respects, but how can you really pay your respects to someone you really didn't even know? That's how I felt. I was there to pay respects. I think a lot of people there were there just to be seen, just to be able to say, "Hey, I went to Michael Jackson's memorial." Um, it was at that moment that made me feel like I had to say something about who he was because I'm listening to everyone here or at the memorial talk about the person that they knew, and all they're talking about is the entertainer. They're just talking about the man that danced and sang. I want to talk about the man, the person, the father. So it was at that moment that made me feel like I had to say something in some shape or form. I didn't know which direction I was going to take, but it was at that moment I decided I'm going to offer something, whether it's just drop it online, blog, but it eventually came into a book.
And it's a great book, to be honest.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. It warmed my heart to when I first got it. I read it so many times.
It's good to hear. It really is.
I actually highlighted a couple key points in the book today to get ready for this.
Sure.
So I have here that it says during the trial, you, the head of Mr. Jackson's security, was called to testify in the hope that he and his team had learned during their time on the job might offer a clearer picture and a better understanding of what happened on the day that Michael died. Can you elaborate on that?
I'm sorry. I'm a little.
So you were called to testify
Right.
in the hopes that it would clarify, like bring a bigger picture on in a better understanding of what happened on the day that Michael died.
Okay. I was called to testify in a civil situation. As for the day, I was not with him that day. No, I was in Las Vegas preparing to go back to LA.
Wow.
Yeah. And I got the call.
Oof.
So it no, I didn't testify to to what actually happened that day because I wasn't there.
And obviously you said you didn't believe it at first because you've heard like rumors and stuff online. But what was going through your mind when you got that phone call?
Initially I did not believe it because I it's so crazy. I was with him at one time. I remember we was driving in Virginia, and on the radio, we listened to the radio, and it came across the radio that Michael Jackson had passed away. And I said to Mr. Jackson, did you hear that? He said, what's that? I said, they just said on the radio, they said you passed away. He said, oh, I get that all the time. And I was like, really? I didn't know that. So when I heard, I reflected back to that moment. So when I heard that, because a few people had called me, a couple of friends had called me, and I was like, nah, that's not true. And it was at that very moment I was preparing to go back to LA. I was like just got finished packing, and then my mom called me, and when she called me, you know, it kind of made me wonder, maybe something's not right here, and that's when I turned the TV on, and as I turned the TV on just when I believe his brother Jermaine had came to the podium, and when he announced it, that's when it hit me. Oh, this is real. So I, I was I was stuck for a moment. I was stuck for a moment. I didn't know which way to think, which way to go, who to reach out to. I was just stuck. I did think about the kids, what was going to happen with them, where were they going to go, who were they going to be with, because they weren't used to being with nobody. They weren't used to being under anybody else's watch. So I was curious to wonder, but they came to mind. But for me, I just didn't. Trying to piece it together mentally that this is real. It took a minute.
I think we all tried to process it in our own different way. I remember like I was with my grandparents when it happened because I had just gotten out of summer school,
Hmm.
and my sister came running in, and she's 4 years younger than me.
Oh, okay.
So she came running into the computer room and she's like, something's going on the TV. And I'm like, what? And then I just like saw it and I was like, oh God.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think the world stood still for a moment.
Yeah, us Michael fans call it the day the music died.
Oh, so well, I'll phrase it today. The music paused because it will never stop.
No.
It will never stop. It's just ironic. A lot of places I find myself, whether I'm in a store, restaurant, or nightclub, lounge, a Michael Jackson song comes on. It just comes, and it just really just trips me out a lot. You know, I was just in Walmart the other day and I heard Michael Jackson. It just happened. It's just I don't know. You know, I don't know what that is, and that happens a lot.
One of
Happens a lot.
the bands over at the East Long Meadow Rotary Club concerts, I do the photography for them.
Okay.
They actually cover Michael Jackson songs,
Okay. Okay.
which is kind of cool.
Wow. All right.
So our next question is, what was Michael like just as Michael and not as the king of pop?
At home, what I've observed and noticed, he read a lot, whether it was books, certainly the Bible often. Um, I mean, for me to see him just outside of the King of Pop, I'm witnessing the person. So our conversations was off topic, off music, off entertainment. Certainly our topics would, we drive and he'll ask, who do I like, Bill? Who do you listen to? What music do you listen to? Who do you listen to? And I'll give him some names, and he'll say, play that. So I would play certain genres of music, but he listened to classical music a lot throughout the house. Speakers throughout the house. You would hear classical music just playing. When we drove, especially when we were doing a long drive, he liked listening to classical music. Listening to him and the conversation he and his kids would be having, it was just all normal to me. Just it was just a regular, what people would totally understand or even imagine that, because I think so many people was focused on the King of Pop. Here I am having the opportunity to get to know Mr. Jackson, the father, the person. I'm seeing that. Um, to me, he was a regular dude. Different, sure, but that's different from the lifestyle and the way in which he came up. Um, he liked to take long rides. He liked to check out the scenery of different places. If there was a place if there was a park that we would drive by and it was no people in the park, it was quiet, he liked to get out and take a walk. Um, but spending most of the time with his kids and listening to them and their conversations, how they just and they're talking about all kind of things from astrology to science fiction movies. Um, it was just regular to me. It was just, I didn't see nothing odd, different. It just became regular. And I wish the world could have seen it from my eyes for who he was. And that's one of the reasons I wrote the book, hoping that I can bring some of that normalcy of him to the world and to people. And so he was a regular dude. He's good too.
That's amazing. Um, what is your favorite memory of protecting Michael and his kids?
Well, I can't say I have one particular memory because every night or each day that the kids had a good day, he had a good day. And at the end of the day, and if I'm going home or if I'm going back to my room or wherever we were, and I can get some rest, I know we had a good day. So that day was a good day to where tomorrow is looking very promising because today was a good day. There are days in which I've seen him have bad days, whether it was business calls. There are days in which the kids, I've seen them have bad days and they're crying for whatever reason, that something they may have asked for or wanted from him, and he told them no. Um, they had bad days. He had bad days. But to know that we're ending the day, that they're safe, he's safe, that was a good day for me.
So our next question is, what do you remember most about him?
Most. I mean, I every day is still within me. So what sticks out most is when we used to drive in the vehicles and we would be just driving. I mean, a few times we was in DC, Georgetown area, and we were driving and we had a red light, and he would say, "Bill, watch this, watch this." And I look in the back and I'm looking at him and he'll put the window down. Like the windows on the vehicles, very dark tinted windows. I mean, you couldn't see in at all. So he would say, "Watch this." And there was times that we would see people at the street preparing to cross the street, waiting for the light to change, and we're at the red light. And he would say, "Bill, watch this." And I would watch, and he would put the back window down, and he would look at whoever was on that corner. There was a couple of kids one time because I know they were just getting out of school. And there's one kid, and there was about 6, 7 kids on the sidewalk preparing to cross the street. And one kid just happened to be looking around, gazing around, and he looked at the car and he looked directly at Mr. Jackson. And you could see him clear as day because he had the window down. And you see the face on that little boy light up, like, and he starts to turn to tap on somebody else's to point, look, I pulled off. So I can only, and Mr. Jackson goes, you can only imagine what he's telling his friends. They're not going to believe. So it's moments like that because he knew what he was doing, and it was funny because I would look and I would see the look on the little boy's face, and because he's giving it a double look, and then he reaches over to grab his friend, and that's when I would pull off. And well, that's the light change. I didn't really pull off just to be pulling off. Light changed, and we pulled off. Um, and we would both laugh, especially him, about. He said, "You can only imagine what he's telling his friends. He said, they're not going to believe him." Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, I guess that was just a moment that little boy going to have in his head, and maybe the day will come that he may have seen an interview such as this, and he remembered that moment. But I remember those moments, and he's done things like that. Those things like that I remember because those were good times. Those were good times.
Sounds like a really good time.
Good times. We had to have some laughable moments because it wasn't all fun and games. It really wasn't.
Um, so the next question is, what was your favorite part of protecting Michael?
Favorite part of protecting him. Excuse me. My my favorite part of protecting him, I would say, when I was with him, when I was nearest to him, if we were out and about and we was walking, whether we're in the mall or whether we were going to visit something or someone, and I was close to him, my favorite part was knowing I was prepared to ensure his safety. So just knowing I was prepared for anything and anyone. I mean, because hey, listen, the people I know that there was a lot of people that loved him, but I also was aware there were those that felt otherwise. And so those individuals I had to be on point and prepared for. So just knowing, so when you asked the question, favorite part, my favorite part was knowing that I was prepared to not only protect him, but to defend him.
Um, so this question is, if you could go back in time to one of his biggest eras, like Thriller, Bad, all of that, which one would you go to and why?
His era, real bit. I would certainly say, which was that the Thriller album that had Human Nature?
Yes.
That era. I remember that album. I remember when it came out. I was a camp counselor at the time, and the teachers, they played that music all day, every day. But that Human Nature song, I remember they did a little play to it, and so it stuck in my head, and it became one of my favorites. So I think at that time, for me, it was a good time. I didn't, and obviously I didn't know him, but I think it was a great album. I think that album brought a lot of people together, and I thought it made a lot of fans became fans from that album.
Wow.
So I think those were good times, and going back to them would be great.
I would probably go back to that one because I was born in 96, so I didn't really get to grow up with like his older stuff.
Gotcha. Well, I think regardless of those that have been born, you know, after certainly long after him and put his music out, regardless of the ages today, um, I work at a high school. And these kids is 15, 16 years old. I see them with Michael Jackson shirts. So his music is just captivates people, just regardless of the age. And I mean, it's just so captivating that his music is where it is, where it has been, and how many people, even kids, there's kids that know who he is and they don't know who the president of the United States is. So he left his mark, and it will continue. It just will continue. And we don't have to teach kids about Michael Jackson. They find out on their own.
So you partially answered this one, but what do you remember most about June 25th?
Certainly it was a day to for me, it was a day to reflect, um, remember, appreciate. Because I mean, once I accepted the fact that this is facts, this is real, and one of the first things I said to myself is when I accepted the fact that this is real, I said, now he'll rest. That's what I accepted from it. That's what I remember about that day, because I accepted, now he'll rest, because I've witnessed a lot of restless nights, moments, just speaking to him, talking to him. Again, it was not all fun and games. So people came at him in all angles. Everybody wanted a piece of him. Everybody wanted to either work with him, or they wanted him to do something for them. It was just so many people and so much going on. I often wondered, how could he even have a peaceful night's sleep, period. Um, so I said, now he'll rest.
Um, the next question is, do you still keep in touch with the kids 15 years later?
It's been several years. Oh no, I seen Prince last year at the birthday celebration here in Vegas that they do every year at the Michael Jackson One show.
Cool.
So we got a chance to talk a little bit then. Um, but prior to that, it's probably been about 4 years since I had spoken and or seen Paris. I seen her in Vegas. Um, but the relationship or the communication isn't as strong as I wish it was. But I understand, because they didn't understand what was going on. We shielded them from so much. All they knew was Bill and Javon was my dad's security and
Right.
drivers. That's all they knew. They didn't know the plight of what we did, what we went through to keep them and their father protected. They didn't know what we did to ensure their safety on a daily basis. They didn't know. They just seen what we allowed them to see, that everything was all peaches and cream, so, and that's where we wanted it to be.
So the next question is, if you could change one thing about that day, what would you change and why?
I would change that I was there because I would have felt I could have did something. Um, could have did something. I would have. I just feel that way. Something as of what I don't know, but just knowing if I was there, um, I just feel like I could have did something. You know, what the outcome would have initially been the same, I don't know, but I just wish I was there.
Um, and the final question is, do you think it's fair that Michael went through all the trial mess when we all know he was innocent?
Oh, absolutely not fair by no means. But I think many of his on the accuser end, I think that's already been debunked. Um, but on the prosecution side, law enforcement, legal side, I think they did what they did because they didn't understand him. They didn't understand him, and because so many people, his relationship with kids, so many people did not understand it was just completely innocent. It was just a relationship that any and everyone would have with other people. Just, I think his connection and his relationship with kids were concerned was that they didn't talk about legal stuff. They didn't talk about money. They didn't talk about concerts. I've heard his conversations with with kids. They're talking about the new Spider-Man movie. They talking about remaking Thriller and with new special effects. So that their conversations and the relationship was just so pure and innocent for those on the prosecution level. They didn't understand it. So some people, even today, people say to me, well, if I was him, I wouldn't have. Well, you weren't him. I have to have to cut people off real quick. You weren't him. Okay, so way you're thinking and the way he was thinking is two different things, and his lifestyle and your lifestyle two different things. His upbringing, your upbringing is two different things. So you're not him. I was there, so I understood it. I understood the relationship. I mean, you know, for someone like him, he didn't want to talk about lawyers and money and concerts all the time. His outlet was talking to young, innocent people about other stuff, games, movies, you know, amusement parks, shit, ice cream. That so I think they didn't understand, and because they didn't understand, I think they unjustly pursued him um, because they didn't understand him.
That makes sense. But like I said, I really can't thank you enough for doing this. It's an honor. I'm a huge Michael fan. I have, like I said, 2 copies of your book. I have the 2 memorial books that came out
Mhm.
that I just ordered. Um, I've
Did you
actually
see the
I've seen the movie, yes.
okay.
It I am still trying to get a copy of it, but
Oh, okay.
it's like sold out everywhere.
Oh, where are you at?
I am in East Long Meadow in Massachusetts.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's a very small town. I'm probably one of maybe 6 Michael Jackson fans in my area.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, well, the movie's what is it? I think it's still on Prime Video.
Yeah, I have Plato TV. It's also free on there, so
Okay. Okay.
um
Okay. Well, we're gonna let me see what I can do about getting you a copy of the video.
that would be awesome.
Okay. Well,
Um
so I'll reach out to you offline and see what we can make happen.
that would be really awesome. It would make a really great addition to my collection.
Cool.
I have 4 albums. I have 2 copies of the This Is It album.
Okay.
I have Thriller 25 and Bad.
Okay.
But
Okay. I don't know if you can see my plaques. I received
yeah, I
these
can see
from
them.
I got this from a fan base out in China. Let me see. Um,
Those are so cool.
yeah, they really.
Wow.
Oh boy. Uh-oh. Hold on. Okay, I thought I lost. Oh,
That's really cool.
yeah, I'm just going to get a close up to what it actually says on there.
That
You
is
see?
so cool. That is really cool. Oh,
Yeah, they
that's
said,
so sweet.
yeah. So it's cool. It's oftentimes I get some fans from China. They come to town, they go see the show, and they'll reach out to me on Messenger or Twitter and tell me that they're in town. They would like to meet me. They had a copy of my book. They would want me to sign it. And hey, if I'm in town and I'm not busy doing much, I'll go down and meet them and take a few pictures. And matter of fact, someone reached out to me from China about a week ago. They want me to come out. They asked if I would come out there to do a meet and greet, book signing. So it's something I'm thinking about doing. I do want to continue to promote my book
Right.
more. That was one of the big things that I'm very disappointed in ABC News. I don't know if you saw my initial interview on Good Morning.
Part of it.
Okay. Um, and this is prior to the book coming out. And they told me once the book came out, they would have me back, which was cool. So when the book came out, I reached back out to them and would love to do another interview to promote the book. And they told me that they read the book and it's a lovely book, but it doesn't have enough controversial information. And I'm like, oh, so y'all want dirt? I said, oh, I don't do that. No, no, I'm sticking by exactly my reasoning for doing this book to speak out the man and the person and the father that I knew and what I witnessed and controversial stuff. I said, don't y'all think y'all stepped on him enough when he was alive? You think I'm gonna do it now while he's gone? Oh no. I'll protect him in death as I did in life.
But I will reach out to a couple people I know in this area because I know the theater department at Bay Path for their spring concert they do a variety of artists.
Hmm.
So I'll reach out to Bobby and see if we can put something together.
Okay, cool. Well, I do sell copies of my book. I package them up, ship them, and sign them personally myself. All contributions from my book have gone to feed the homelessness, and that was one of the reasons that we decided to sell the book. All the proceeds go to every first Saturday of every month. We purchase food, or we do it the night before. We purchase a lot of food, and we go to several areas here in Las Vegas where Mr. Jackson used to go, and we feed these folks. It's the best that I can do just to try to continue, the humanitarian side of Mr. Jackson. That's something I know he enjoyed doing because we used to do that when he was in Vegas. We would go to areas where the homelessness was and he would pass out money. So I'm just continuing with my part of something I know he would have liked to see happen.
Yeah, this is one of the books I was telling you I have.
I have that as well.
And then I also have the Man in the Mirror book.
I don't have that one.
I
Okay.
found it for like
Okay.
$8 on Thrift Books.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Okay. Cool.
and then obviously first copy.
Great. Is it signed?
No,
Oh, we gotta get that. So we gotta get you a signed copy.
and then I have the second copy.
Oh, that was our Canada version.
Yep,
Okay.
because I ended up losing this copy and then I found it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It was
Okay,
in one of my boxes that I never unpacked from school.
gotcha. I'm glad you still have it.
But thank you again for doing this. I'm definitely going to send you the YouTube link for this when it's up.
Okay, great.
Um,
Great. Thanks for having me.
of course. And this has been an amazing honor, not only for me as an MJ fan, but for our viewers for our podcast that we do.
Okay, great.
Um,
I appreciate it.
of course. And if you know anybody else, just reach out to me and I will set it up.
Sure enough.
Thanks, Bill.
Well, if your partner pops up, tell him I said hello.
I will do that. She's
Okay.
going to be very mad she missed out on this.
Oh well, she missed out then. Okay. Tell her she can watch. She can watch the recorded part.
Yep. All right. Thank you so much.
Take care.